Hi, it's Julie from Arty Heaven here. I wanted to share a quick video because a question that I'm quite regularly asked is how do I clean my brushes? So I'm an encaustic wax painter. If you haven't seen my work before, lots more info about me on my website, which is artyheaven.com. I paint with hot beeswax, and my brushes, it's a question I'm asked regularly, is how do I clean my brushes at the end? And in truth, I don't. Personally, I tend to just turn the heat off and let my brushes solidify. So you can see this is like really, really solid. By putting this back in contact with some heat, you see one here that I am melting down below. So just by reheating the wax, I'm not sure what kind of wax this is, but it's bubbling away, or my iron is set too hot. By putting this back in contact with heat, it is going to melt and I can just pick up and start painting again. But if you do want to get your brush completely cleaned, this video is to show you how to do that. So this brush was completely solid, short a few moments ago. I'm going to show you how to go about that. So there's two ways that I tend to work. So personally, I tend to just have a range of brushes that are in sort of similar colour, you know, tones and hues. So I'll have a reddish one, a blue, come turquoise, and I'll just clean the excess of the wax out and then just kind of change colours. But there are two ways, so I'll show you how to do that. I'm just going to set this up. So this is some soy wax that I'm putting into here. So there are two ways that I would go about cleaning the wax out of my brushes. So I'm not sure what wax this one is. I think this is one that has got a lot of medium in. It's a very light colour. But what I would do is I would just keep putting the wax in contact with the brush in contact with the heat. And I would get some tissue and I would just keep wiping that excess off until I am sort of pretty much back down to the bristles. So it'll take a few goes to achieve that. Also, I've only just put this brush in contact with the heat, so although the bristles at the end are nice and soft, the bristles up here, the heat hasn't really been in contact for all that long yet, so that is still going to hold a lot of pigment. So you can see this soy wax on this side is melting now, so I'll show you how we go about that in a minute. So just keep repeating that process till you've got the majority of the wax out. And then if I was if I was just doing a painting session now, unless I was being really particular about my colours and going from a very dark brush to a very light one, but you know, if I was using similars, even like a blue to a green, I would, once you've got the excess of the wax off, it doesn't really transfer into your painting too much. So I would just keep wiping the excess of this off until I can get the majority of the wax out. Oh, sorry, the pigment out. And then I would just go in with some fresh wax, a different colour, and carry painting as normal. So that's one way that I tend to do it. So you can see there's really, I think this is just stained and pigmented with a pigment, as opposed to having too much wax in there. But if I now add a different coloured wax, I can just dip in and go and paint, and that won't pick too much of the blue up unless I'm kind of going with a white or anything very, very light. So that's one way that I go about it. The other way is, so this is soy wax in here, and this is nice. So if you want to not have your brushes remain solid at the end, you can use this method. So I am kind of really washing my brush out with soy wax at this point. So I'm going to give it a good wiggle, and this is going to loosen up a lot more of that wax and that pigment and make the bristles nice and pliable again. So I'm just kind of, yeah, do this until you feel like a lot of the wax is out. Ooh, jumping around today. If you want to be really particular, you can keep getting clean soy wax. This is quite blue now, so I think there must be some. It's quite a shimmer in here. I'm not sure what wax was on that brush, but got a mixture of a few, I think. So you can keep getting fresh soy, and you know, till it gets as much of the pigment out as you can. It's a bit of a process, you know. If you really wanted to, you can see how that pigment is coming out now. Personally, for me, this is why I don't tend to clean my brushes too much. It just seems like a bit of a faff. And to be honest, all that beautiful wax that's in there, just by reheating that, it's so difficult to get hold of, particularly in the UK. I'm always a bit loath to wash the excess wax out. But anyhow, this video is just to show you how you can do that should you want to. Just need to get some more tissue. So you can see the pigment is coming out. We're getting back to the natural haired bristled brush underneath. I'll just do one more. And then, but once you've gone through this soy wax process, you can actually wash your brush out with soapy water, and it will remain nice and supple as this one has here. So once you've been through this process, your brush won't stay solid. It will go nice and soft. So should you want to clean your brushes at the end of a painting session, basically this is how you would go about it. And depending on how far you want to go, you know, you can keep going through this exercise, bearing in mind that, you know, pigments might stain depending on what pigments you've been using. But you would at least get back to a pretty clean brush and a supple brush. So maybe you've used your incorrect brush in your wax by mistake or something. This would be a way of going about it. As I say, personally, as I primarily only paint with Encaustic, I just have a lovely great drawer of all sorts of different colours, and I use a similar colour brush. So I'm just going to run this under the tap, give it a bit of a wash with some soapy water, and we'll see how it comes out. So here we go. So this brush should stay quite supple now. It shouldn't solidify in the same way that the other ones have. You can see it's getting back to that kind of whiter colour, so I could keep going through this process and you know, cleaning this up further and further, but hopefully you get the idea. That's how you can clean your bristles and your brushes, and yeah, should you want to. I say personally for me, I just like to reheat the wax and carry on painting, much quicker and saves wax as well in my view. Anyway, hope you found that helpful. If you want to know anything else or know more about encaustic painting, this wasn't the most inspiring of updates, but I have got a host of videos and resources. I have online courses, so I've got some free resources as well. So go to artyheaven.com, look for the online courses tab, and there's a whole host of information on there. I've got blogs and all sorts of things that just explain a little bit more about encaustic painting. So yeah, either free guides or, you know, proper courses full of little short videos, a little bit like this, just explaining how you can paint with encaustic. Hope you find it helpful. Bye.